The sun may seem special to us, but it's just one of billions of stars inside of the Milky Way galaxy. In the article, Will the Earth Survive When the Sun Becomes a Red Giant? Ask the question, will the Earth survive when the sun becomes a red giant? Now, I've always been fascinated with the stars. In fact, I wanted to become an astronomer. And even though I haven't achieved that goal yet, it's never stopped my amazement with the stars and information about space. So, in the next few minutes, I'd like to shed light on the life cycle of stars and their relation to stars like our very own sun. Start off by showing Hertzsprung-Russell diagram. Now, in this diagram, you're going to see many different types of stars, but for the sake of this speech, we'll be talking about our main sequence stars, which is this path, our giants, and our white dwarfs. Start off by explaining to you the birth of a star. When enough gas cools in a cool nebula in space, you have hydrogen and helium, and pressure takes place, collapses that cloud. Nuclear fusion happens and ignites, and with enough pressure, that's the birth of a star. So our first star inside of our main sequence considered red dwarfs. Now, red dwarfs are by far the most abundant stars in our universe, but you never tell because you can't see them with the naked eye. Even the closest red dwarf, Proxima Centauri, the nearest star to Earth after the sun, you wouldn't be able to see it. Red dwarfs are burning at such a low temperature, relatively, and have a cool red color that you can't see them without the use of a telescope. They have a much smaller mass than our own sun, and they're burning at about 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, for the sake of this, all stars are measured in kelvins actually, but for better understandability, we'll refer everything in Fahrenheit. Now, after red dwarfs, you can classify the rest of the stars in the main sequence as sun-like stars. So sun-like stars, referred to in Backyard Guide to the Sky, talks about one of the stars you may see, the brightest star in the sky, Sirius, a bright white blue star. Now, sun-like stars are burning anywhere from 8,000 to 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, what they're doing is they're burning all of their energy from their core, so they only last billions of years. Now, the difference, red dwarfs, they're burning their energy at the core, but their much smaller mass allows them to live so much longer, you might as well consider them to last forever. Whereas sun-like stars are burning their cores much faster, so their life cycle is much shorter, only a few billion years. And at the end of that life cycle, they swell up. The fusion inside of their core stops. They start burning their exterior, their shell, and they swell up to a massive size. And at this point, we refer to them as giants. So now that we've talked about our main sequence stars, now I'll talk about giants. In Space Atlas mapping the universe, lets us know that in the last few billion years, so about 3 billion years from now, our own sun is going to be so large it's going to swallow up Mercury and Venus. Now, these aren't referred to in the diagram. You don't classify them by their temperature because they can burn anywhere from a low red to a hot white blue color. These are more about them burning their outer shells and the overall size of them. Betelgeuse, a large star in Orion's belt, referred to in Astronomy for Dummies, lets us know that if you took Betelgeuse and placed it in the spot of our very own sun, that it'd be large enough to swallow up even Jupiter. So after burning off all of the energy at their shell, giants shrink down to a very small size, about the size of Earth, and we refer to them as white dwarfs. Mariasta's White and Black Dwarfs article lets us know that white dwarfs are the fate of 95% of the stars in our universe. And they can vary. They're not, even though they're referred to as white dwarfs, doesn't mean that they're all white. The majority of them are white, hot, but they can vary in color. And they're so small as well, even though they're so hot and burning so hot, they're also not visible to the naked eye. Now I'd like to conclude, because that is the final portion of our normal stars. But there's also many other endings. You have supernovas, black holes, and black dwarfs. And it gets a little weird over there. So the ending for our stars will be white dwarfs. And even though our sun in a few billion years may swallow the earth, we can appreciate that we're here at the perfect time to appreciate it. Thank you.